By the power vested in me as Chancellor, I hereby constitute this Assembly as a legal congregation of the University of Pretoria. During this Assembly, degrees and diplomas with all associated rights and privileges will be conferred and awarded to the candidates whose names appear in the program. We request all of you to join us in silent prayer or meditation to give thanks for the achievements of our students. Thank you. As Chancellor of the University of Pretoria, I extend a hearty welcome to you at this virtual graduation ceremony. I would like to welcome our Honorary Doctorate, Professor John Thome, the Dean and the Deputy Dean of the Faculty, along with all persons to whom degrees and diplomas will be conferred and awarded. We also welcome families, friends, and spouses to this virtual graduation ceremony. A warm welcome to all who are joining the ceremony today, and a special welcome to our esteemed graduates who have achieved this milestone during this incredibly challenging time that our country, continent, and the world is facing. It is an honor to be part of this ceremony, a month of autumn graduations where 11,424 qualifications will be conferred in absentia between the 13th April and the 7th May. Today, as we celebrate your success, I would like to congratulate you on your hard work, tenacity, and resilience through this COVID-19 time. It has taught us how to be tech-savvy, how to adapt to unforeseen challenges, and how to honor and cherish life, as so many of us have lost loved ones during the pandemic. The thing about life is that no matter what we are facing, be it joy, hardship, sorrow, success, triumph, or disaster, life goes on. The determining factor is how we choose to walk this path. Nelson Mandela's long walk to freedom refers as much to his personal and political walk as it does to the long walk that we must all take in life to achieve freedom. Freedom to be ourselves, freedom to express ourselves, and freedom to achieve our highest goals. The walk is one of lifelong personal development, and it is also a physical walk if we're able. Many of you are no strangers to physically walking long distances, and while it can be associated with hardship, it is also healthy to physically walk. Our Vice-Chancellor is a good example. He walks to contemplate his concerns, dilemmas, and thoughts. Kierkegaard, a Danish philosopher, wrote about this. He said, "Do not lose your desire to walk. Every day I walk myself into a state of well-being. I have walked myself into my best thoughts, and I know of no thoughts so burdensome that one cannot walk away from." I share this with you because it is our ability to walk, the walk of triumph over hardship and crisis, that determines our capacity for happiness, caring, and success. Right now, we are facing many crises. The COVID-19 pandemic is not only a disease crisis, it is a crisis of society, of the economy, of sustainability and well-being, and of governance, of the continent and globally. It is a big wake-up call to think and do differently, with our universities playing an essential role in co-creating the future we want. The future is wide open for all of you graduating today to contribute to changing our society and our communities for the better. You need to be the transformation you desire and to relentlessly apply yourselves to contribute to achieving a better world, as defined by the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. This is your calling. Speaking at another occasion, the Vice-Chancellor made the following comments on Sustainable Development Goals. Our success depends on the world that is thriving, where human dignity and justice are paramount, where all people are able to reach their full potential while nobody is left behind, and where our development does not happen at the expense of our planet. We recognize the critical role that our university and graduates must play in securing the future of our country and continent. All 10 of the world's countries with the youngest populations are in Africa, with approximately 65% of the continent's citizens being below the age of 35. Access to quality higher education is a fundamental building block, not only for economic growth, but for reimagining a future we can all believe. The capacity to participate in this is creative and exciting. It includes examining ourselves, our organizational structures, and cultures to ensure that they are relevant, future fit, and enablers of agility, innovation, and responsiveness. All of this needs to be done by leveraging technology, transdisciplinarity, and collaboration. In May, we will be hosting Africa's first Nobel Prize Dialogue, bringing together Nobel laureates, opinion leaders, policymakers, students, researchers, and the public to engage in conversations of the future of work. Digital skills and capabilities are a must-have for all students and graduates. In 2019, the University of Pretoria invested 100 million rands into the digitalization of our system, as we recognize the necessity of this for our students. At the same time, we are keenly aware that COVID-19 has amplified the structural inequalities in our country's education system. The National Ministry of Higher Education estimated that only about 20% of learners were reached through the various online platforms utilized during lockdown. To achieve access for all, we must advance the use of technology in all our schools and hold government accountable on its commitment to all learners and students. Since 2013, Cabinet has been pledging to deliver free broadband access to 90% of South Africa by 2020 and 100% by 2030. Further to the discussion about the future of work, it deeply pleases me to see how committed UP is to you, our graduates, being eminently employable or self-employable. The university fosters an entrepreneurial spirit among our students through the online entrepreneurship programs, business incubators, and small business development portals. It assists in growing innovation and entrepreneurship through the tax innovation ecosystem. This system provides specialized support to entrepreneurs throughout their startup growth journey, and it connects science and technology innovators with big companies, academics, and government. We hope that you make good use of these. UP is further committed to ensuring that you, our graduates, are at the forefront of the fourth industrial revolution, hence the extensive transdisciplinary curriculum in 4 IR fields, including big data science, data analytics, and artificial intelligence, offered through a range of departments and schools. The university recently launched Engineering 4.0 about all things digital in the transport and mobility space, and is training students in how smart cities and smart transport will work. It is also pursuing research on the ethics of AI, and the Student Counseling Unit has just activated a first-of-its-kind counseling chatbot called Scooby, whom we hope some of you have conducted, because Scooby uses artificial intelligence to develop and grow. The more it is used, the more responsive it becomes. Augmented and virtual reality laboratories and knowledge creation environments are sprouting up worldwide and being very effectively used. Our Department of Mining Engineering has the Kumba Virtual Reality Center for Mining, the only one in Africa, where our students are able to virtually experience being in a mine underground. It needs to be added that minerals and mining engineering at UP have just been ranked in the top 50 places in the world to study these subjects in the latest US World University rankings. In the same rankings, theology, religion, and divinity in our Faculty of Theology and Religion were ranked in the top 100, and their citations were ranked among the top worldwide, ahead of some of the most prestigious universities in Europe. Why? Because as the Dean of the Faculty of Theology and Religion, Professor Jerry Pillay explains, UP's focus is on relevant, contextual, transformative research to provide new knowledge that inspires people to reconsider what we think and do in our everyday lives and encourages positive change. He adds that justice and peace are two of the big issues globally, and there is a revival of introspection in terms of what is happening in the world. There is a reawakening to the realities of life. It is not an easy time, but it is a fascinating time for you to be pursuing the next step of your career. Fortunately, you do so with the strongest possible higher education to your name. I'm pleasantly struck by the excellence of our graduates and the quality of our academic staff. At UP, 68.1% of our academic staff have doctorates, the largest number in South Africa. This is increasing year on year. The qualification levels of academic staff have a direct impact on the capacity for research, supervision, and productivity, with an increase of approximately 70 doctoral graduates each year. A further measure of quality is the number of researchers who have achieved a National Research Foundation rating. We have 564 NRF-rated researchers, 16 of which are A-rated. And so wherever you find yourself over in the next few years, and whichever career you pursue, you can do so with utmost confidence that you are a graduate of the University of Pretoria. As I confer these qualifications on you today, I once again convey my heartfelt congratulations. I encourage you to go forth boldly into the world and to continue to ask questions, remain curious, seek solutions, and solve problems. Hold on tight to your idealism and your hope for a better future. Promote your university and support it in the best way you can, as a donor, mentor to fellow students, and an advocate of what you have learned. We are proud to have you as part of the UP alumni family. We wish you the very best, and we look forward to seeing you progress. I congratulate you again, and I thank you. I now request the Dean to introduce to me the candidate for the Honorary Doctorate.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Professor John Thome for the conferment of the degree Doctor of Engineering honoris causa. Since 1998, John R. Thome is Professor of Heat and Mass Transfer at the École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne, EPFL, in Switzerland. He obtained his PhD from Oxford University in 1978. Prof. Thome was an assistant and associate professor at Michigan State University from 1978 to 1984, leaving to set up his own international consulting company from 1985 to 1998, before joining the EPFL in Switzerland. He is the author of 5 books and has published more than 245 journal papers on the fundamental aspects of microscale and macroscale two-phase flow, boiling and condensation heat transfer, and micro two-phase cooling systems, proposing over 100 two-phase flow and heat transfer prediction methods applicable to macro and microscale processes, including his widely used flow pattern-based methods for boiling, condensation, and microchannels. Prof. Thome has received the following awards: the Journal of Heat Transfer Best Paper Award from the ASME Heat Transfer Division, the J.E. Hall Gold Medal from the United Kingdom Institute of Refrigeration for his work on microscale refrigeration heat transfer, the ASME Heat Transfer Memorial Award, and the ASME 75th Anniversary Medal from the Heat Transfer Division, the very highly commended Paper Award from the International Journal of Refrigeration, the ICEPT HDP Best Paper Award on a 3D IC prototype with interlayer cooling in 2012, the ASME Journal of Electronics Packaging Best Paper Award at ICEME 2014, and the Outstanding Paper Award at Interpack 2017. In 2017, he received the prestigious Nusselt Reynolds Prize. In 2014, Prof. Thome founded the Virtual International Research Institute of Two-Phase Flow and Heat Transfer, which now has 20 participating universities to promote research collaboration and education. According to Google Scholar, he has more than 22,500 citations and an H-index of 70. Prof. Thome has been recognized internationally for his significant contributions to the fundamental, experimental, and numerical phenomena of micro and macro two-phase flow and flow pattern maps, the applications of which have resulted in the developments of novel industrial thermal technologies, as well as for the broad dissemination of his work to the engineering community. Mr. Chancellor, I request you to confer the Honorary Doctorate on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Engineering honoris causa with all the rights and privileges on Professor John Thome. I have the honor of requesting our Honorary Doctorate to deliver his address.
Hello, I'm Professor John Thome from the EPFL University in Lausanne, Switzerland. I'm very happy to be here with you today to be present at your graduation at the University of Pretoria. I've had the opportunity in the past to be present in Pretoria, so I'm sorry I'm not able to be there in person today. I visited your university, which is absolutely a beautiful campus. I visited your departments, I've visited your classrooms, I've given seminars, and I've also had the opportunity to attend many different international research conferences in various locations in South Africa, such as Cape Town and Kruger Park. So I'm very happy once again, as I said, to be here. I think this is quite a big day to pass from one phase of your life as a student to the next phase of your life where you become an engineer. Engineers actually have many opportunities, and one of the biggest opportunities that is being created for you right now is 5G telecommunications. 5G telecommunications are able to transfer data 10 times or more faster than the fastest existing systems. And the other important aspect is that such systems have nearly zero latency. So that means what you click on or what you do right now is actually at the other end of the world in that fast a time. So a lot of infrastructure still needs to be built. 5G is only partly laid out. That's going to take another 5 years, if not 10 years, to get out there. But there's really a lot of things that will be built on this type of technology. Other technologies that will be coming into play because of this, or together with this, will be virtual reality, will be artificial intelligence, and other aspects will be coming out as well that will play a big role, such as 3D printing of plastic and metal parts. This is going to transform manufacturing, what we refer to it as additive manufacturing. So there's quite a few aspects of that come out. The other aspects that are important are self-driving cars, also electric cars. All of this will put a huge burden on electricity demand. So that means all of the electrical infrastructure in every country in the world is going to be needed to be revisited and greatly expanded. So there's really quite a few things that are going to be going on in the next 5, 10, or more years that you can be part of. As young engineers, you have an opportunity to look at many of these things. You have a possibility to work in big companies and be part of big teams, or you have a possibility to start your own company and create some type of technology related to 5G or one of these ones that I just mentioned. So there's quite a few different things you could do with your future. I think back about my own future when I was a young engineer. I graduated with my bachelor's degree a little over 45 years ago, and that was a time of landing men on the moon, of changing from only having mainframe computers to having desktop computers, and having now portable computers, and I think we can see how much that changed our life, because now I didn't have to be part of a big organization. I can have a small company or a small lab or a small business and have all the computing power I need that used to be only very large companies could have. So again, with this new telecommunications and other things, you will find that there's many things that you can do, and you'll be able to do many innovations to bring out new types of technologies, new types of this, new types of this. Hopefully all of this making the world more sustainable and more energy efficient and more environmentally safe. So it's been my pleasure to talk with you today. I'd like to again give you all my best wishes for the future. I'm sorry I can't be present in person to meet with you, but I hope to come to visit the campus again as soon as we're able to do that. So my wish for your graduation day is to enjoy the day and take your first step forward to your exciting new future. Goodbye.
Thank you, Professor John Thome, for your address. I hereby confer and award all degrees and diplomas in absentia with the associated rights and privileges to all candidates whose names appear in the graduation program.
Doctor of Philosophy. Chaka Sekroka. Thesis: Modeling cross-border financial flows using a network theoretic approach. Supervisor: Professor O. Adetunji. Co-supervisor: Professor V.S.S. Yadavali. Bradley Bock. Thesis: Surface influences on falling film boiling and pool boiling of saturated refrigerants. Supervisor: Professor J.P. Mayer. External co-supervisor: Professor J.R. Thome. Joseph van der Walt. Thesis: Some challenges and solutions of steady-state model-based leak detection. Supervisor: Professor P.S. Haynes. Co-supervisor: Professor D.N. Volker. Master of Engineering, Industrial Engineering. Thomas Gray, with distinction. Matsebe Makoba. with distinction. Melissa van die Kerk, with distinction. Mechanical Engineering. Ryan Balshaw, with distinction. Bradley Collins, with distinction. Kyle Goddard, with distinction. Ricardo Ludeke, with distinction. Doe Marks, with distinction. Megan Pegram, with distinction. Casey Rusendahl, with distinction. Michael Seal, with distinction. Vian van Wyk, with distinction. Marius Vermaak, with distinction. Bachelor of Engineering Honours, Industrial Engineering, James Boertes. Nicoline Botha. Donay Brits. Fate Chebala. Deidre Cochlin, with distinction. Stefan Crawford, with distinction. Dewald Kraus. Ugar de Klerk. Elijah John. Roan Grabe, with distinction. Werner Hanekom. Jahil Jacob. Vincent Jordan. Melody Kotze, with distinction. Mika Ladu. Boni Mabasa. Peter Mabuya. David Maslangu. Josephine Mbewe. Njabulo Metula. Kamohelo Mukwena. Mashuru Mukaninga. Sachin Narsai, with distinction. Justice Gujiri, with distinction. Tabang Gwenya. Sifiso Nkosi. Wandile Nobela. Jethro Nyamukunda. Simpiwe Nyandeni. Bradley Perry. Tarashin Honan, with distinction. Danae Roll. Gamandeva Samu, with distinction. Henry Schnettler. Dashalia Singaram, with distinction. Musa Squantia. Mene Ace, with distinction. Craig Warren, with distinction. Mechanical Engineering. Justin Templeton. Ivan Ackerman, with distinction. Dylan Anderson. Ricardo de Abreu, with distinction. Jan de Beer. Jesse de Klerk, with distinction. Willem Duplessis, with distinction. Robin Gast, with distinction. Kefitlile Sabiacho. Mohammed Husnain. Elton Giti. Vaughan Kleinans. Renu Kritzinger. Siddhant Kumar Manilal, with distinction. Leonard Kusel, with distinction. Graham Lloyd. Pete Masemola. Jay Rout. Jacques Roux. Parth Shah, with distinction. Tato Sibanda. Ashton Stephen. Matthew Thursby, with distinction. Luke van Eyck, with distinction. Ernest van die Kerk, Andre van Zyl, Mandy Venter with distinction, Daniel Wright with distinction, Applied Science, Industrial Systems, Olisile Dlamini, Nolutsando Mandewo, Tando Mazibuko with distinction, Yolanda Banguzi, Klo Moyaha, Tabiso Seboka, Elekanyani Sipuma, Katleho Tsiu, Applied Science, Mechanics, Physical Asset Management, Ashir Binda, Isaac Chilowane, Ayanda Insa, Amukelani Macheke, Aaron Mahadeo, Eunice Malachi. Bachelor of Engineering, Industrial Engineering, Nicole Abrahams, Shannon Alexander, Sachin Yurakesami, Pretisha Bania, Lezon Berg, Bianca Bosman, Sunal Botha, Ryan Brown, Jason Chandler, Lezon Kutsia, Casper Kutser, Leanne Mare Kombrink, Kumesh Dayal, Johannes de Klerk, Evan Duplessis, John Farrell, Ignatius Ferreira, Mikael Gaia, Duduzi Gazu, Gwen Gordon Cumming, Carla Grunewald, Genevieve Grunewald, Floris Hasbroek, Simone Hamilton, Daniel Hand, Jan Hout, Varusha Haycock, Johan Henning, Joshua Hotong, Paul Jacobs, Arnu Armand Jans, Sibongile Kawanga, Jean-Marc Kruger, Arnu Kipping, Andrea Kuther, Brandon Labuskachny, Alicia Lombard, Nkosinati Mahlangu, Muhammad Mahomed, Danielle Mare, Nicholas Markram with distinction, Matiko Masinga, Connor MacDonald, Tyrone McMullen, Chad Mentz, Yashailan Mupanar, Nobantu Motao, Nonofo Motsepe, Ntandazo Moyo, Chietza Mudima, Peace Mukono, Asisipo Nangu, Elsia Notnagel, Petra Opperman, Megan Phillips, Tlalentle Poswa, Lakshmi Prasad, Poshia Ramalatswa, Tato Rampedi, Jacobus Rousseau, Ntutuko Sangueni, Keletso Sejobela, Sipiwe Sibanyoni, Nadine Small, Johannes Smit, Tamron Smit, Duneshri Suprayan, Thurston Stadler, Ibrahim Tar, Bradley Taylor, Madeleine van der Linde, Gideon van der Merwe, Ruben van Eden, Martie van die Kerk, Deirdre van Wyk, Esmarie van Benneke, Thomas Weeks, Kirsten Worrell, Bayan Ashuri with distinction, Abdul Bazerbachi with distinction, Danielle Boer with distinction, Louise Berger, Willem Berger with distinction, Daniel Charters with distinction, Willem Koetser with distinction, Zanri Kombrink with distinction, Jocha Crunier with distinction, Marlies de Villiers with distinction, Henri Dupree with distinction, Geoffrey Ellis, Angelo Guerra, Nicolas Heistek with distinction, Khotsatso Khiba, Julie Leriche with distinction, James Meadows with distinction, Chantenay Mouton, Gabriela Murta with distinction, Bongani Ndlovu with distinction, Brian Ndlovu, Amogelang Nkwana, Janetta Olivier with distinction, Rachel Olivier with distinction, Miriam Sanatkaran with distinction, Charnay Senecal, Edna Stander with distinction, Marnay Swanepoel with distinction, Shanae Swanepoel with distinction, Luazi Chiquila, Armand van Koller with distinction, Cornelia van der Erve, Nicolas van Heerden, Kieran Vagies, Ansel Venter, Ruben Venter with distinction, Hugh Williamson with distinction, Mechanical Engineering, Regan Alward, Zahir Badak, Marco Bakker, Gideon Basson, Daniel Beal, Clinton Bierkes, Sky Bonus, Marnus Boysen, Wildu Bosch, Thienis Botha, Donovan Broughton, Ropafatso Chagwiza, Alvin Chikura, Matthew Chown, Leandro de Silva, Nicole Daly, Nikita Darchiv, Jamie Lee Davis, Dylan DeLange, Daryl Derman, Kush Desai, Tabo Dibobo, Dylan Duplessis, Eric Duploy, Werner Duploy, Michael Dupree, Ruan Durand, Paul Hendrik Els, Louis Esselin, Kuko Fallet, Bjorn Friak, Keith Gathercole, Krizia Giamartini, Nzovo Gomba, Ian Gondwe, Robert Gould, Liam Gole Smith, Matthew Griever, Lisa Gryvar, Atishay Gupta, John Helm, Laurik Hilhorst, Zakes Hlungwani, Unho Hong, Angelique Janse van Rensburg, Martin Janse van Rensburg, Brandon Jean-Jacques, Kevin Johnston, Nicolas Jobert, Kwandiwe Kalipa, Rebecca Kekana, Tembani Kosa, Alison King, Kyle Kleinans, Christian Kurtz, Lisa Marie Labeskaghni, Johannes Lategan, Roger Lingham, Arya Lindstrom, Andreas Lowe, Joseph Lyle, Ruben MacDonald, Nigel Machisa, Stembiso Makulana, Kabir Maiko, Potsogo Maleka, Mpumelelo Malobola, Christopher Mamabolo, Brandon Mark, Zanezipo Maseko, Tato Mashaba, Archie Mavele, Christu McLaren, Grant Michi, Pleasure Mkachwa, Reitumetse Mukwena, Letlogonolo Murunzi, Polokejo Mpachlele, Taetso Mpachlele, Sanele Mtsembu, Libuani Mudao, Anotidashe Mukambachoto, Triven Naidu, Kosikona Ndlovu, Johnny Nikolakakis, Wanda Nkenchane, Tsireletso Nsoane, Leon Wedendal, Sean O'Donovan, Christopher Osborne, Daniel Pabu, Vanessa Pena, Michael Penny, Jade Phillips, Kyle Pinar, Thaddeus Plekker, Cleland Potgieter, Marilou Rademan, Kavishvara Ramdas, Avishan Ramkelawan, Ronewa Ramugondo, Khalalelo Ratswana, Calvin Riabo, Freak Resync, Matthew Rietveld, Jared Robertson, Wesley Roosendaal, Gregory Sack, Dominic Savio, Kimon Savas, Michael Skeupers, Dieter Seger, Waldu Seger, Nomsa Sitwe, Sheridan Smith, Jesse Stevens, Keegan Stratford, Sinclair Tsapi, Mustafa Tawilda, Hugo Terblanche, Khonse Tebe, Kenilwe Tswala, Darren Usher Jones, Ashwin Valat, Joshua van As, Jacques van der Merwe, Morney van der Merwe, Okkert van der Merwe, Lara van die Kerk, Frederik van Rede van Oudtshoorn, Ruben Winse, Belinda Visser, Riani Wagner, Tristan Walton, William Weir, Jason Willier, Nicholas Whitehead, William Wilkin, Odirile Apane, Michael Aronson with distinction, Kusle Baloi, Rudy Basson with distinction, Ryan Batty, Nasaruddin Barish, Kwanda Bengu, Imtiaz Bukus, Melissa Bass with distinction, Keegan Carlisle, Viral Chaganlal, Mkateko Chauke, Bianca Claassen, Jacob Kluter with distinction, Mark Kutsia with distinction, Labau Creamer with distinction, Matthew Davies, Michaela De Carres with distinction, Fabrizio De Cana, Mira De Kramer with distinction, Michael Delport, Ibrahim Desai with distinction, Dion De Villiers, Antoinette De Vries, Dian Dixon with distinction, Daniel Dutoit with distinction, Sune Dutoit, Wynand Esterhuizen, Gerardus Fourie, Martin Gill, Christoffel Gous, Ingo Gute, Simon Harvey, Dewald Hatting with distinction, Carl Halberg with distinction, Janae Hills with distinction, Maricel Immelman, Peter Jensen with distinction, Mike Kandolo, Tsepang Kekana with distinction, Alan Killian, Vian Kotze with distinction, Isaac Creel, Shalona Krishna, Kelsey Langley with distinction, Francois Leroux with distinction, Marco Leroux with distinction, Joanna Leshilo, Tetelo Letsualo, Brent Levings, Christian Liebenberg, Inge Libbe with distinction, Luan Ludik with distinction, Andrew Martin with distinction, Sufyan Master, Keneilwe Molaudi, Carlos Montero, Frans Moelman with distinction, Mohamed Musa with distinction, Margaret Mutson with distinction, Farai Mukayua, Matthew Muli with distinction, Ndamulelo Nechipale, Henning Nueth, Abel Norkia with distinction, Garikai Nyakuja, Jeduten Oosthuis, Mohammed Rahman with distinction, Cameron Redman, Zach Rieder, Linda Robinson with distinction, Nimi Sajan, Kellen Schmidt with distinction, Duan Skuman, Meja Skuman, Michael Sel, Kopano Selwane, Duan Siebrits, David Slabbert with distinction, Aidan Smith, Charles Stein, Petrus Stein, Hans Swartz with distinction, Joshua Thring, Nathaniel Tom, Jaco van der Meer, Andries van der Merwe, Jessica van der Spey with distinction, Wikus van der Westhuizen, Ulrich van Grutting, Marcel van Skalkwijk, Dorio Vente with distinction, Tinus Fuljoen, Ruben Visser with distinction, Bernice Volskenk, Anchen Wiegand with distinction, Alexander Winter with distinction, Bongani Zulu. Achievement Awards. Medal of the South African Institute of Industrial Engineering, James Meadows. FNB Prize, James Meadows. Roland Roars Prize, Marlies de Villiers.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let us give our graduates a big hand for their hard work and perseverance. I would like to thank the families, friends, and spouses for supporting our graduates during their studies. We have now come to the end of the proceedings. Please join us in singing the national anthem. By the powers vested in me as Chancellor, I hereby dissolve this assembly of the University of Pretoria.
Gaudiamus igitur juvenestum sumus. Gaudiamus igitur juvenestum sumus. Post jucundam juventutem, post molestam senectutem,